Hello everybody, good day to you. Welcome back. Glad you are here. This is the transmission from a 2012 Chevrolet Avalanche. You can see it's four-wheel drive. I've got this on the bench right now, and we just finished up digging out those nasty, broken off, rusted in exhaust manifold bolts. And I am now in a position, yeah, see that one there? These ones were nasty. I'm now in a position where I can go ahead and start prepping the back of this engine block, and we can get that rear main seal and the cover reinstalled. If you missed any of the videos on this particular truck, including the teardown and disassembly, no worries, just check this video's description and there will be a series of links down there in chronological order that can take you back in time to the previous operations on this particular truck. So that being said, let's go ahead and wipe this down, get all the oil off of it. We're gonna go ahead and get that rear cover unboxed and reinstalled, and then we're gonna proceed to get the transmission reinstalled in this vehicle. So stay tuned, because this is gonna be a very good video. Happening Z hood. Oh yeah, one more disclaimer also. I did not record the oil pan gasket replacement on this truck. I've done several of those operations before, so if you wish to see one of those, I will also include a link, probably to an H2 Hummer down in this video's description. That will show you the LS engine oil pan removal, cleaning, and installation procedure. Ending of shameless self-promotion now. Happening Z hood. All right, we're coming in with our replacement rear cover. You can see it's got the crankshaft seal installed. This little spacer thing is designed to allow the seal to slip over the crank without getting hung up and twisted, which is good. There is a gasket that runs around the perimeter of it, as well as that top oil galley up there. So what we need to do is sneak this guy into position, snap it into place, and we will cinch it down with the back oil pan bolts. That way we create a good seal right here at the back of this oil pan gasket, and then we can get the remainder of the bolts installed, and we can get this thing torqued down to spec. Now, first things first, we need to make sure that the corners on this pan are free and clear of debris. Let's see if I can't get some light in here. Make sure this right here, this area in particular, and this area in particular are clean, clear of dirt, debris, and oil, and then we have to add some sealant to these corners. That way oil cannot wick out along all these seams where they meet up right here. So I'll just get that real good with a towel. Nice and shiny, that's good. A little bit right there. Clean that up, and we can go ahead and get a little dab of sealant installed. Yeah, nothing crazy, just, whoa, that was too much. That was something crazy. Yeah, a little bit of RTV came out faster than what I expected. Oops, that's a little much, but it'll smear out when we tighten everything down. A little bit over here in that corner. Press that stuff in real nice like. That's good. That side's good. Okay, we can go ahead and get that cover in. Okie dokes, cover coming in. Let's see how this is gonna go. We have to get it at a slight angle at first. All right, we're committed now. Okay, the cover's over the rear seal. This is good. A little bit more, a little more, a little more. Perfect. Let's get some of these bolts threaded so it can't pop back off. That would be bad. All right, she's in position. Wonderful. Okay, so first things first, it's going to be the two super long bolts that come up through the oil pan and then pull this unit down in order to make a seal here at the oil pan gasket. And we need to get that ASAP and first, because if we don't get these bolts in position, then we could end up with a leak right here, right where we started from. Oh, you're not gonna go? And as soon as I can pull this thing down tight against the oil pan gasket, we'll go up around the rest of the perimeter and get all the cover bolts in. See how it squeezed out that residual oil that was between the pan gasket and the actual pan itself? That's what that was. No harm though, that's not going to affect the sealing. That was just oil that was between here, and it just kind of squirted out when we pulled that thing down. But it looks terrible, so I'm going to wipe that off. We don't want that. Goodbye, squeezed out oil. Perfect. All right, now let's run around the rest of the perimeter of this cover and get the rest of these bolts tightened down a little bit. Oh, by the way, this new cover came with new bolts, which is really cool. Because that allows me to add to my fastener collection. That one in, that one there. You'll notice I didn't load this thing up full of silicone all the way around it. We don't need sealant on everything, especially in places where there's already a seal. Alright, so far so good. Okie dokes, torque wrench time. We're not doing actual clicks, we're doing beepy clicks, because I felt like using this one. We're doing 22 foot-pounds of torque. 19, 21, and 22, it's not there yet. 21.8, 22.006, got it, okay. 22.06 foot-pounds of torque. Can you guys see that? Yep. Another. Let's do this one next, right here. One more recheck just to make sure I didn't miss any. Yep, we're all good. So everybody's torque, 22 foot-pounds of torque. This is good. Now, we're in a position to go ahead and grab that trans and get that guy reinstalled. Let's roll it on over. Transmission cam, first time for everything. Whoa, this thing does not like to drive straight. We're all over the road. All right. Get this guy spun around and pointed in the right direction here, and we can get her lifted up and bolted back together. Moving on up, 1 inch at a time. Remember, the tail shaft has to go over that cross member first, and then it's got to go up and off to the right, which is going to be back from our point of view, and then we can get the bell housing to clear the back of the oil pan. Well, that didn't work. You guys okay? Okay, we're super close. I'm kind of pushing it back, and we're gonna go up and over that cross member, and then we'll swing this side over here around and mate it up to the back of the engine. We need to give it all the ups that it's got, all the way up. All right, we're kind of in the home stretch where I've just got to turn this, straighten it out, and then bring it up the rest of the way, and we can meet up with the bell housing, or the bell housing, and we'll meet up with the back of the engine. All right, we're pretty close. We're getting there. A little bit more up, and then I'll get the lean back to the rear one more time, and once it's lean to the rear, we can get everything lined up. This is good. moving back up. The whole time I'm looking around, making sure nothing's being pinched, smashed, bent, displaced, etc. Because I don't want to pull this out again. That concept's also going to go for the brackets and all the wires that are up at the top. You don't want to pinch that stuff between the bell housing and the engine block. Oh, that's a bad day. Okay, we're looking good everywhere. Let's move her forward some. There we go. Let's get real close to the... Oh, holy smokes. I forgot the flex plate. Ooh, that, oh my God, that could have been so horrible. Yeah, my brain's fried. Hang on, redo. I'm just gonna sneak it in there real quick. Can't believe that. Yeah, that could have been the most epic failure ever of epic failures. I can't believe that just happened. Oops. Let's see. Now I can't see where the bolts line up on this thing. This makes this harder. And I'm not taking that transmission back out. So no. Yep, and we're gonna be okay thanks to the 90-degree impacting tools. We'll be able to get in there and get these guys tight. I threw some thread lock on them, so no worries. It's still gonna be a tight squeeze. I cannot believe I almost did that. That would have been so terrible. Put everything back together and look over, and I go to put the torque converter bolts in, and there's no flex plate. What a nightmare. I think my brain's fried. No more critical thinking for me or planning. Click. Oh, slip that one. Come here. These super shallow sockets don't really grip that well. They're good sockets, but they don't have loads of holding power, nor do the bolts that go into this flex plate here. There we go. There, hooray! Crisis averted again. Okay, now that I have figured out what I'm doing here, let's go ahead and run this trans back up, and we'll get the dowel pins aligned, and we'll start securing this thing to the engine. Okay, a little bit of wiggling, a little bit of up. Let's move our wiring harnesses and brackets out of the way. A little bit more up. We're pretty close. The angle's not right, but so far so good. We're really close. Again, we're trying to get this hole lined up with that pin. And once I get it close, I'll run one of the bolts in and just to secure it all. And then we'll go to the other side and do the same thing. We'll get one bolt in it to make sure it's lined up. I need to get the tail up a little higher. It's kind of dragging. It's pretty close. A little bit more. There we go. I wonder if I just kind of give it a push. It's like so close. One more push. There we go. Okay, that one slid in, that's perfect. Let's put a bolt in it so it can't slide back out. So what I'm doing is I'm rotating this knob, and that's gonna move the platform, and it's gonna rotate the transmission this way to bring that that bolt into alignment with the hole. Because right now it lines up, but it's at an angle. So we just need to rotate this thing to bring that angle proper, and then we can get that one bolt in. We don't need to run it all the way down. We just want to keep the thing from being able to twist and turn and torque. There we go. A little more. It's pretty close. That's pretty good. I got about 2.5 turns into it. I can't turn it by hand. Let me put a little, a small wrench on it just to get one more turn out of this. Like I said, the goal is not to tighten this down. It's just to prevent the transmission from being able to back off and come off of that pin. That's all I'm trying to achieve here. soon as that head of this bolt bottoms out on the bell housing, that'll be enough to kind of hold the thing. Okay, let's get the other side aligned real quick, and then we can push this thing forward and get it all mated together. All right, let's go over here to the passenger side. And again, there's our pin. There's the hole right there. And we just need to get that pin and hole mated together. And then again, one more bolt here just to kind of draw it all in. Now, make no mistake, I'm not, a little bit more. I'm not over here using these bolts just to hope for the best and pull this stuff together. I'm just using them to allow the pins to align, and then once our pins are good, we can draw it in. There are many that say, you know, you can't just run bolts into it and just cinch the thing down and hope for the best, and they're correct. You don't want to do that. But once those pins are in place and the thing is sitting flush, then you're good. Okay, that pin's pretty much right on point. So that's good. Still isn't super tight. Perfect. Nice, everything's flush. This is good. Looking up, I'm rechecking to make sure nothing's pinched in between. And from this side, we're good. And from this side, we're good. All right, now we can go ahead and get the rest of the bolts in and continue reassembly. So here's what I'm gonna do. In an effort to drastically reduce how long this thing's gonna be, I'm gonna fast forward past all these bolts and whatnot. And we're just gonna skip ahead a little bit. Okie dokes, we fast forwarded through time a little bit. Dipstick tubes in, bell housing is bolted together. I have all the electrical connectors connected. I've got the lines on their brackets. Those guys are bolted in. So all of the ancillary equipment that bolts onto this trans has been installed. Next up, it's time to go ahead and get that exhaust set up and fitted. So I pretty much made an entire video about extracting all of those damaged and broken off nuts, bolts, and studs and whatnot. I've got those guys all removed. The threads are all still intact on the flanges. I cleaned that up a little bit. So let's go ahead and get the pipe. We'll fit that thing into position, and then I'll put the new studs in, and I'll run the bolts down, nuts, and we can get that exhaust installed. Now I've got a pair of fresh gaskets here. So you'll notice that they're different. One slips into, oh hang on, that one goes on the manifold. This one goes into that flange right there. So let's get that thing pressed in. Yep. And if you recall, we had to remove this to gain access to one of those bolts. So I'll take it back out. We'll set this thing aside and then back over to the truck, and we can put this, I call it the donut gasket. We'll slide that guy back in. Good to go. Come on, Y pipe. Let's get this thing up into its home here. Let's see how this is gonna go. Hopping over this giant cross member bracket here, and it's not fitting that way. Let's try again. Okay, let's get this pushed up a little higher, and I can get this flange around two of these studs, and that's gonna secure this unit, kind of. Sorry guys, I know y'all can't see. I'm getting one of the nuts on right now. That way it can't fall out and smash me. Oh, you totally can't see. Oh man, and the lens fell off. This is bad. I hit you with an exhaust. So as I was saying, I have one of the nuts on, so now it can't fall out. Let's go over here to the driver's side and we'll put the studs in and the nuts. All right, let's thread these bad boys in. They're not gonna be too happy about going in there. Those holes were, well, they've been through a lot. I'm gonna have to readjust this strategy right here. That's how I'm gonna do this. I think I have no choice but to do it like this, because I can't get those really to run down very far. So I'll get them started and then I'll put the nut on them, and then perhaps the nut will have enough friction to run the studs in on the flange side, or the manifold side rather. You know, I probably could have installed these studs prior to putting this pipe up, and maybe I should have. I didn't realize this is gonna pose me an extra problem. We'll figure it out, no worries. Let's send it. See what happens. It's actually not too bad. If I hold up a new stud, I can see here that it's got full thread engagement, and I can feel the stud on the back side, so I guess that's okay. Let's see. Well, I know. I'm gonna turn the stud into a bolt. I'll flip it around, and then it has no choice, because it's gonna bottom out the nut right there at that unthreaded section. It'll have no choice but to run that stud all the way up. That's what I'll do. I'll just do it backwards. Get on there. Gravitas. That's Latin for gravity. Go baby go. Yep, that's what we want to see. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's give this thing the reach around treatment here and get that back stud threaded and run down. Okay, it's going in. This is good. Very good. Manifold click. Go. Ooh, that's hot. Okay, I'm gonna flip this stud too. Okay, the stud and nut are flipped. Let's get this guy in. Begin threading now. There we go. Send it. Okay, that's too tight. We got this one right here, number 3. Sweet. All right, that flange is on. Okay, we're up on the flange on the other side. This is the hard to reach one. Let's get that guy started. There we go. Okay, that's 2 started, and then we have to thread the stud and 1 nut on this side. See if I can get this guy started in there. These ones I cannot put in backwards, I don't think. Or I shouldn't really. No, I'm gonna have to. Yep, I'm gonna have to run that one in. Threads are still pretty rough on the flange side also. They're not stripped, but they're just loaded full of rust and they're deformed. There we go. Okay, let's get that nut started. And then we can run all these ones down and we're good here. Nice. That felt good. That felt good. Sure. And the last one you can't see. Slippage. All right, that one's in. Let's tighten these down the rest of the way. Nice. All right, exhaust is reinstalled. Let's, while we're here, let's go in there, move the starter out of the way, get the torque converter bolts installed, and then we'll put that starter back. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're looking back into the transmission again. You see the bolt there. I'm gonna reach around the flywheel and I'm gonna turn that torque converter until I see bolts, and looky there, there's one right there. There's the threads. See that? I know it's tough to see, but I got one of them lined up. So let's get that first torque converter bolt threaded in, and then we'll rotate the unit around and then get the other two. Okay, bolt number one's ready to go in. It has got some thread lock on it, and it fell down. Hang on, I gotta get that started by hand. I cannot do it with machinery. Let me get that thing started. That's going in, threaded down, and I'm not going to tighten it all the way because we have to get the other two torque converter bolts lined up. So what I do, there it is. What we need to do is get this guy up on the crank, and we're going to rotate this crankshaft 120 degrees, not 33. 120 degrees. We're just going to spin this guy around till that other bolt comes into position, or the hole rather, and then when that thing's lined up right about here, we'll get the next one installed. See, thread lock please, right there. Yay. It's kind of a lot. Yeah, fling it. I hear a Volkswagen. Okay, that one's in. Thread that guy in real quick, and we need to turn that crank slightly. There we go. And we will torque it. We'll give it final torque in a minute once they're all three installed. Spin it around, spinning, another 120 degrees, or 33.33333333% of a circle. That's what I meant. More thread lock. And that one's also threaded. Okay. All right, ran that one down. Now I can apply some torque to that unit. Okay, we're reaching up with the ratchet, and I've got to apply torque with one hand, and I've got to hold the crank with the other hand. Let's see how I can do this here. This isn't in like its most perfect position ever. It'll slip off, but I think we got it here. Alright, and click. Alright, there's one. Another 120 degrees. Turning, turning, turning. There's the bolt. It's exposed. Coming up to torque. Oh, it came off. Hang on. Try again. There we go. One more 1/8 of a turn. Perfect. It's torqued. Last one. All right. Now, not all engines have just 3. Some have 5, some have 6. I don't know if any have 4. I'm sure there's one out there, but this particular one has 3. Here we come, getting tight. And click. All right, torque converter is installed. Let's go ahead and get that starter in position here. Tired of looking at it. Come on down, starter. Right there. We do need to get this plastic cover in before we put that starter in. That just kind of slips up in position there and then bolts to the oil pan right there. Stay. By the way, those are very often forgotten. Yeah, I don't do it, but I find these all the time where they're missing this little cover. There's actually 2, one for both sides. All right, starter. What are you doing? There. Come on, get in. Why are we not going? What is the problem? There, got it. Okay, starter bolt number 1 coming in. Let's push this thing in position first before I try to run this bolt in. I'd love to not cross thread this. We're already sideways. Hang on here. There. Now we're not sideways, we're straightways. I didn't want that to do that. Hang on. I'm losing it. Losing control of my situation here. Guys, I think wintertime's over. It's getting a little warm around here. I'm sweating my first sweat in many sweats, many moons. There's one. Okay, both starter bolts clicked. Okay, moving back a little bit. Let's go ahead and get the cross member for the transmission installed. I've got to raise this up a little bit, I think, but I can get the 2 bolts on for the trans mount that will hold this thing. Let's get those in. Oh, come on, please, thread. There it goes. Yeah, there's one. Whew, okay, now I'll just use the post jack right here to raise this up some. There. Okay, a couple bolts, 4 of them actually. Let's get 2 of them in. There's one, and then we'll get one over here on this side. Are you gonna go up? More up on the transmission. More up. Moving on up. There we go. Sweet. Now we're safe. Let's get the other 2 bolts in and the nuts, and we'll tighten everything down, then we can move on to the drive shafts. the nuts are in, angular clicks. That's 2, and of course 2 more over here on the passenger side. Loud. There we go. And last but not least, 15 and a 15. Actually, let me let the weight of this trans down on the mount first. I'd hate to pull the studs out of the mount. That would be bad. All right, that's tight. Trans is secure, it's bolted in. Onto the drive shaft. All right, moving back. Let's get our drive shaft installed here. We're gonna do the yoke end first, slip that guy in the back of the trans. There's no master spline here, so it just kind of goes in as it sees fit. There we go. All right, now back here. Let's get this thing lined up, extended, and seated. Perfect. Okay, we've got 2 straps, 4 bolts. Let's get these guys started. We'll run these down and then torque them. And then we can go ahead and get the front drive shaft in. Like we're almost in the home stretch here, which is fantastic. Put that guy in. Okay. Now I'll do this the same way. I removed it, put a pry bar in there to hold everything, and then we'll give it some torque with a wrench. And I'm going to make sure that the this little strap is bottomed out on the yoke. That looks good there. Let's get this one tight. It's kind of tough to gauge tightness when everything's all rusted. Click. 2 more here. Try to switch hands. Get noodle arm. I'm noodly. Right there. Good. All right, drive shaft's in. Let's get the front shaft next. Actually, before we put that front drive shaft in, I need to put this thing back in park and then get the shift lever installed. You'll notice it was turning very freely. It's because I have it in neutral. So 2 clicks, that's park. That slides on, and then another 15 mil nut. There we go. Nice clicks. All right, coming in, beginning shaft insertion now. About like so. Wiggle that thing in. Come on, shaft. Is there a master spline? What is this? There it goes. Got it. You know, while we're here, I'm just gonna throw some grease in there. Couldn't hurt. There we go. Just get it all in there nice like. Ooh. Here. Okay. All right, up here on the front side of our shaft, we'll just pry this guy in position. Give it a twist. Get in there. Okay, front drive shaft set up. 2 more straps, 4 more bolts. Now the trans doesn't have to be in neutral for this to rotate because the transfer case is always in neutral. I misspoke. The front drive shaft is not engaged or neutral unless you have it in 4-wheel drive, which you should not. You should have that in 2 high until you need 4 high or 4 low. I don't know what's wrong with the people that run around thinking they can drive around in 4 high all the time. That's not okay. You're gonna break some stuff. Get in there. All right, guys, we are nearly finished here, but there is one critical step that we completely forgot to handle, and that is unoiling the oil spill. Ah, the fan's pointed at me. Hang on, that was a dumb idea. Hey, you know what? We're just gonna go over here. We're getting flanked. Need to maneuver, aggressive maneuvers. Evasive aggressive maneuvers. Yeah, we gotta get all that oil out of here. You can't ship it with oil drips and whatnot. That'd be terrible. Gotta get rid of all that. Goodbye. Woohoo! We don't need another. Okie dokes, truck's coming down. Let's get her on the ground, fill it up with oil, and then we can finally starting the engine. Now I'm not completely finished with this thing just yet. I still have a sway bar on the ground I need to put back in. And I'm also gonna do a couple services on this, one of which is gonna be the transmission fluid exchange. I might make a video about that. I might not. This one is just gonna be comprised primarily of this oil leak repair operation. Now listen, I'm not putting Amazon oil in this, and I'm certainly not putting 520 in this. I'm just using this jug as the transfer jug. Pouring things. Okay, we've got 6 quarts installed. I'll check the level later. Let's get the battery reconnected, and then we may restarting the engine. Put that guy in there. Zzz. There we go. Okay, battery cable clicks coming in. A couple turns with the 10 milli. Lock this down, and then we may restart the engine. You guys nervous? It's a lot of work we just did. Okay. I'm not nervous. It's either gonna work or something's gonna tear up and I gotta do it all over again. All right, restarting. It is alive. All right. Do we have oil pressure? There it is. We have oil pressure. Taking a look down below. What is that, an air pump? Something making noise. It stopped. All right, let's run this thing back up and inspect it for leaks. Moving back up. All right, taking a look. All is well. We're getting a lot of smoke coming off the exhaust. That's just all that oil and whatnot. It's gonna start burning away as this thing heats up. No leaks here. Like I mentioned, we did an oil pan gasket on this as well. No leaks up here. It's all looking cherry. I love it. Again, need to spray that off. That's connected, this is connected, that's connected, that's connected. Everybody's put together, bolted in. Good to go. This is a resounding success. Electronics are connected here. Exhaust is clamped on. No exhaust leaks there. No leaks up at the manifolds on either side. That is good. Super duper. This is a resounding success. A lot of work, but we got through it. All right, guys. All that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and close this video out. We're done so for this one. As always, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed this video, or this series of videos. If you missed any of the other episodes, again, this is part 3. The links for the other episodes will be down in this video's description down below. There's also a bonus video in there where I'm torching out all these nasty studs and bolts and nuts and whatnot, and that was a lot of fun. It took all day, so I had to make an entire video about that. Anyway, I'm rambling on. If you want to see any of the other stuff on this truck, again, just check the links down below. It'll take you back in time. You can see everything else in greater detail. So again, and as always, thank you for watching this video. And most importantly, do not forget to have yourselves a great day. See you guys later. End of Chevrolet Avalanche.